Welcome to the Courage to Live podcast. My name is Josh Pitsko. I'm a retired police captain with 24 years of experience out of Las Vegas. Currently, I travel the country and I teach people about courage, resilience, and leadership. On today's short episode, we're going to talk a little bit about my experience with Jiu Jitsu. Now, for those that don't know, I've been practicing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu for several years now at this point. And I'll tell you that getting into a sport like that or a martial art, it really changed my life, all for the better. And I'm a firm believer that pretty much anybody that decides to try jiu-jitsu will come out on the other side better for it. So for me, it was like 2015, and I had a friend of mine recommend I come and try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with him. I didn't know much about it other than it was what MMA fighters did. And I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. I was in really good shape at the time. I was weightlifting on a regular basis. I was in K9, so I had a really active job. And it wasn't my first venture into combat sports. I had boxed and done Muay Thai before. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. So I go to Sergio Pena's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Chinatown in Las Vegas. And, I walk in, like, I'm a big guy and I'm confident. So I walk in and we do the class where we're drilling, and I'm pretty confident. I'm like, I'm a lot better shape than most of these people. I'm, strong. So we do drilling for about an hour. Sergio, who's been my coach for a long time, he was an amazing human being and also just a stone cold killer. Like, he is one of the toughest humans that I've ever met and will ever meet. So after we get done drilling, it's time to live roll. And, for those that don't know, a live roll is when you literally are wrestling and practicing jiu-jitsu, and you can go at different levels, but most people go pretty hard during this time. And so he pairs me up with his son, Eduardo Duda Pena. And now he's young at the time, and like, I probably outweighed him by 75 pounds. And so now we're about to live roll. And I remember having the thought, I don't want to hurt this kid in here, my first time in here in front of his dad. Well, I can tell you that is not what happened. For the next 10 minutes, Duda absolutely destroyed me. I mean, I was sore all over, but even my hand was sore from tapping so much because he just submitted me over and over. And I'm using all of my strength. I'm using all of my cardio. And it opened my eyes to almost this superpower that is jiu-jitsu. And so, but that's not the end of the story. So after that, Sergio put me with one of his female purple belts. And then she proceeded to beat the crap out of me for 10 minutes. I took the third round off because I thought I was going to throw up. And again, I was in good shape, but there's something about live rolling in jiu-jitsu that, you're going at somebody else's pace, not your own. And there's just really no other cardio like it. And I remember sitting next to Sergio while everybody else is rolling, trying not to throw up or look like I'm dying. And I remember looking at him and saying, sir, there can't be people that look like that can do that to me. And that was a real motivating factor for me because I was in law enforcement and I did fancy myself somewhat of a tough guy, having boxed and been a cop for a long time and a lot of different operational roles. And that really was a motivating factor for me. And then I fell in love. The grind, and it is like problem solving under extreme stress. And so for years, I trained and I competed and I did everything I could to get better. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm good now. I'm definitely better than I was, but there's levels to it. I mean, there are just, no matter how good you think you are, there are always people better. And his son, Duda, by the way, is now an undefeated MMA fighter. And he is one of the best in the world at jiu-jitsu, but he's also just a very talented fighter who works really hard. But it was interesting because as I continued my journey through jiu-jitsu, and I was just, it kept me in really good shape, but I became more confident in other parts of life. Now, and you think, like, how is a martial art like that going to extend to, like, conflict in life, or, stressful incidents or critical incidents? Well, the first thing is it gives you confidence because you've been humbled so many times that you learn a lot about yourself and you grow. You have to grow if you're going to get better. But there's this little, like, what I call a lizard brain in your head that even when you're having like a negative interaction at work, it doesn't have to be policing. It can be with a coworker or a boss. And sometimes you would get that little fight or flight feeling inside. And it's that little lizard brain that telling you you're in danger, even though you're not in danger. You're just having a hard conversation. Well, I noticed that through jujitsu, that little lizard brain got quieted. And I just didn't react as much to external stresses. And it really just, again, carried over to so many different aspects of my life. The last thing I'll say about jujitsu before we wrap this up is it also gives you a community. So especially for law enforcement, it's so important to connect with people outside of law enforcement, but that can be hard. You live inside a bubble, right? You go to work and you're around cops and, you share experiences with other police officers. But then I would go to jujitsu and, I would roll and get my butt kicked by someone that was an IT worker at the school district, or somebody that worked at, the gas company, and people from all different walks of life. But when you step on the mat, everybody is equal and you just learn a lot about people. And through different trying times in my career and in, policing in general, say during like the Ferguson riots or, the George Floyd incident, I was exposed to people from different walks of life with different opinions and had really good conversations about those things, which normally you don't have if you are solely within policing. So, it just had so many benefits for me, and I can't recommend it enough. So it doesn't matter who's listening to this. If you're young, old, in law enforcement, in business, you stay-at-home parent, whatever it is, I promise you will benefit from trying jujitsu and practicing and learning and getting better. And it also has a lot of benefits health-wise too. So, and for those people thinking, well, I'm just going to wait until I get into shape. It doesn't matter how good a shape you start. You're still going to be, sucking wind after your first couple rolls, and then you'll get better slowly. So thank you for spending some time with me today. If you like the podcast, please share it with a friend, subscribe, or leave a review. Thank you.